allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call this regular monthly meeting of the Exeter Town Council to order at 7:01. I'll ask Madam Clerk to call the roll.
Gallows.
Here.
Frank DiGregorio.
Yeah.
Mike Conn.
Here.
Manny Andrews.
Here.
And Dan Patterson.
Here.
Thank you. Regarding our public comment section, Asa, if you wish to say something to us.
Thank you. Last time I spoke, I talked about the three different divisions at the DEM, about stormwater management, the wetlands permits, and the AWTS designs. At Bruce Ahern's suggestion, I went up and read the file that covers the town on this issue with the town garage. There's a lot of interesting stuff in it. The most interesting thing I found was a stormwater management inspection report, which dates back from May of this year. The way these permits work, you need to have an accepted plan or you're not allowed to use the blanket permit. At the last meeting, Steve Matchek sat here and looked you in the eye and said 3 times that we had a valid plan and permit. This report calls out 4 pages of deficiencies. Some of them are minor, some of them pretty serious. Some are going to take months to fix. At the end of the inspection in May, they did a exit interview with Steve Matchek, so he knew that when he sat here and told you that there was a valid plan and permit, he knew we didn't have one. This report also went to Ron DiFrancesco, who wasn't here. It also went to Ashley Sweet. So at the time of that meeting, I think she was here, she didn't say anything about it. And it also went to Cal Ellis. So when Cal asked Steve 3 times if we had a valid plan and permit, Cal also knew we didn't have a valid plan and permit. Finally, I asked Bruce Ahern about the question about the town waiting for DEM to review microfilm and that things were hung up on that. He seemed surprised to hear that. I think Steve mentioned that in the last meeting. He said as far as DEM's concerned, the town still has till October of 2021 to fix all this stuff. Basically means take the buildings down and restore the wetlands. Here's a copy of the stormwater report.
Moving to item 4, acknowledgements, announcements. This Thursday, 6:30, annual Christmas tree lighting will take place right here on the grounds here of the clerk's office. It's always a festive event, and we hope that the weather will cooperate. So let me just take this moment to thank all of those that are putting this together, and I believe including a tree, which is going to make its appearance shortly. I do believe that was a donation by a member of the council.
The plan was for today, but hopefully we'll get it up by Wednesday, won't we?
At least as long as it's up for Thursday.
So
Watching
thank
the
you.
weather looks good, so.
Thank you, Dan, for providing something for the front lawn, which I'm sure will be appropriately decked out. I also understand, and I'll take this opportunity to say it, although there aren't too many people to hear it, but apparently a job corps will be providing some refreshments. It's good. So to everyone who's putting this together, I would hope it's a great evening. Second announcement, the monthly fire district meeting will be held on December 12th. Begins at 6 p.m. at the Exeter Public Library. That's December 12th, 6 p.m. There are closures here for the holidays of this building Tuesday, the 24th of December, Christmas Eve day, this building and these offices are closed, as they are on Christmas Day, and as they also are closed on Tuesday, the 31st at noon. It's a half day on New Year's Eve. Wednesday, January 1st, New Year's Day, is also obviously closed. Regarding the agenda order, I have no corrections. Does anyone? If not, a motion to approve? Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda order. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Item 6 brings us to the consent agenda. There are no vouchers this month. Regarding reports, just something came to my attention just recently that I'm gonna call it a public works report. So I just gonna refer to something that came through to me that I wanna share with you, the rest of the council. But other reports, Frank,
Number 17.
and that's the regional building committee. Others, Mike,
None.
Manny, Roy, and Dan. Thank you. With regard to communications, some of these are going to be addressed during the body of the meeting, but I've listed several, including them as well. So I would like to us to consider items 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, and 13. Are there others, right?
I have none.
None.
I think you pulled mine, Charlie, you checked, yeah, you pulled the one.
Okay. You also have the schedule of December meetings. You have the bill sheet in front of you. There's one abatement from the assessor's office. Some, just a couple of remittances and abatements from the collector's office. Regarding F, we have minutes only at this point of the November 25th work session. So first items 1 and 2 will have to carry over to next month.
I'll have to recuse myself from number 3, Cal, I wasn't here Monday night.
All right. There's a schedule of meetings that you've been provided for, and it's listed this way so that everyone knows there is a list available if anyone needs to reference it. Also, an employee holiday schedule, you see those that you've been given. That being said, with the additions of those communications, a recusal from Dan on F3, I would ask that the consent agenda be approved.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded by Frank and then by Manny. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Moving to item 7. Under vacancies, as you know, the tax assessor's clerk position is now vacant, as Jeanette Morrissey has taken a position in the front office. I've spoken to Carrie, some of you may have as well. She's asked that we post the vacancy. She's also asked that we post it to indicate that it should be open until filled. And she's doing this because she thinks this month of December is not probably the best time for her to be seeking people, but still it should be posted so that people are aware that there is a position open, because she would really be happy to probably work on it and find someone to place in the office by February perhaps. And she might have some, well, it depends, but she knows that becomes her busy time, and at the moment she's okay. So that's her recommendation. I would move that we post that vacancy and keep it open-ended until the position is filled. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Discussion.
Should we add to post it on Indeed? Since it's free. And it worked out well for the building his own clerk.
I didn't discuss it with her, did you? I mean, it's not.
I did, she said she wanted to.
Oh, good, well, I mean, it's, we see what happened, we see what
I mean,
happened
it's a little bit more,
upstairs.
it'll be
Got a lot
more
more
tedious to go
replies,
through.
yes.
Well, she probably will need March, no, I'm just kidding, that's fine.
I mean, they
Let's try it indeed, and Lynn, I know you maybe figure out, or Carrie, you'll work with Carrie and work that through. Other discussion? So the posting will include that casting a wider net in general. Other discussion, those in favor of the motion, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. With regard to resignation, this is the letter that I want to read to you, sent to us, to all of us, from Peter Lackercher. This will confirm our discussion during which I advised you that I am resigning as Exeter's representative on the Wood Pawcatuck Wild and Scenic Rivers Stewardship Council. I appreciate the council's confidence in appointing me to the Stewardship Council. As you know, the council has been in an organizational mode since early spring. I have been in the midst of the effort, including the drafting and negotiation of bylaws to govern the Stewardship Council and development of policies. However, it has become apparent to me that this position will involve a substantial commitment of time for the indefinite future. Given my other commitments, I do not believe that I can devote the time required and feel that it is a good time to step back and let others pick up the cause. As we discussed, Nan Quinlan, whom the council appointed as Exeter's alternate representative to the Stewardship Council, has been attending and actively participating in the council meetings and committees. I recommend that you designate Nan as the primary representative and seek a new alternate representative. Thank you and your colleagues for your support of the Stewardship Council. Signed, Peter V. Lackercher. I would just tell you that in my conversation with him, I asked if really it was an active and constructive and productive council, and he said, well, actually it was. There were anywhere from 15 to 20 members that attend regularly from DEM and a variety of sources, so he thinks it's very significant. And you've seen his letter, you've heard his letter, you've read his letter. Having said that, I'd entertain a motion that we accept his resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we accept Peter Lackercher's resignation from the Wild and Scenic Rivers Stewardship Council. That being said, if we could skip to C2.
He also mentioned, you also mentioned, recommended that this woman, Nan Quinlan, take his place. She's the alternate at this point in time. Would you have to advertise that?
Well, that's why I'm moving to C2, as a representative for the council. I would think that his recommendation would suffice. She's been attending. I would suggest we appoint her and then post a vacancy for an
Does she want
alternate.
it?
She does. Yeah, and actually, I didn't share with you, she did send me an email and said she would be very happy to do this. And what Peter indicated to me that she has in fact, as he said in his letter, been actively involved. So I think it would be appropriate we put her
I'd make
in
that motion.
position. Thank you. Is there a second? Motion is made and seconded to appoint Nan Quinlan as a representative for the town of Exeter, the Wood Pawcatuck Wild and Scenic Rivers Stewardship Council. I have to read that. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. And that being said, that provides a vacancy, and I would ask, with the council's permission, that Madam Clerk post that position as an alternate. And I suggested to Peter that he might know other folks, land trust people, others that are already actively involved with those kinds of projects. But let's post it, if that's all right with the council. Any objections to posting a vacancy?
Yeah.
Have we voted on this? We should. I think we did. Thank you. regarding expiring terms. The page is blank, Madam Clerk.
And it's starting from this one.
Number 8, public hearings pages, sections blank, Madam Clerk.
No public hearings this week.
Thank you.
Sounds good to me, though.
We skipped
We certainly, did. You know, as soon as I turned the page, I thought, we're not finished. And thank you, Mike, because we have a most important appointment, C1. The building planning zoning clerk. We have received a communication from our planner, which I'd like to read for the record. It's addressed to the town council dated November 25th. Dear councilors, as you know, the position for planning, building, zoning clerk was posted both in the Standard Times and online at www.indeed.com. We received 86 applications for the position. The applications were reviewed and sorted, and ultimately we invited 8 people to interview for the position. 5 interviews were conducted, as 2 applicants had already accepted other jobs, and 1 applicant did not show up for the scheduled interview. These interviews were conducted by me, that's Ashley Sweet, planner, Mike Confrey, Di Gregorio, Hal Morgan from Ron DiFrancisco. An invitation to participate in the interview process was sent out to a larger group, including the planning zoning board chairs and the council assistant. After carefully considering each applicant, it was unanimously decided that Maria Foisey was our first choice for the position. As such, we would like to formally recommend her appointment for that position of planning, building, zoning clerk. In the instance that Maria is unable to take the position, we would recommend Jessica Pena as a strong second choice for the position. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me, and it's signed Ashley Sweet, Town Planner. Council, you've received a copy of Ms. Boise's application. I hope you've had a chance to review it. Some of these folks, and particularly Mike, jumped in as continuing interest in the work of the planning department, and others assisted. Mike, you want to speak to the process, please?
So, as the letter says, we basically weeded through 86 applications to come up with 8 suitable candidates for it. Of those, Maria has a good background in the municipal, working in the municipality. She worked for West Warwick for 13 years. And a lot of, I would say, public relations will go with where she worked for Johnson & Wales and several different facilities that was basically moved around. But both of her main working portions of her resume were for long periods of time. And that was one of the things that we were trying to look for, was somebody who would come and be invested in wanting to stay for a considerable amount of time. But her references all checked out. One person said we'd be crazy not to hire her. Best choice.
She is also, if you just take a look at the application that she submitted, it's very impressive, especially as compared to the others that were presented. Very professional in the way it was put together and presented, and needless to say, the content was extensive, as Mike was just saying, highly qualified. And one of our concerns was we wanted to get somebody that we felt was going to stay on board for a while, not just use this as a stepping stone, because there were others that didn't approach her in terms of qualifications, but they could have come in as another third or option. But we definitely had the impression that it was probably a stepping stone to something bigger. But she's by far the most qualified of all the applicants by far, and so I think I'll make a motion to approve her.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Motion's made and seconded. And just under discussion, to your point, in the years I've been here, I know the clerks, which were for a long, long time, part-time, didn't stay usually, an awfully long time. Some did, but this most recent move to a joint combination assisting housing, building inspector,
And zoning.
zoning, it seems to have been really helpful. Well, part, it's, something needs to be done, so there is a definite learning curve, and I hope that this young lady will be up for the challenge, but I'm sure you had discussions with her about that,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
a bit of a complex job. There's a motion on the table, comments? Dan,
I have no comment, Cal, no.
No, I think it's good. I did speak to Ashley about the number of applications. I said, you didn't find it overwhelming? She said it took a lot of time. She spent a lot of time on her own. Others of you helped with review.
And I think the reason we got so many is because you put it online. Indeed was the application, and she gave me the website, and I checked it out. I was immediately overwhelmed by, it was 72 at the time I saw it. I only got through 10 or 11, so I can only imagine how much time Ashley must have put into this.
I know it's heavily used in professional circles, which counts me out for a long time. Don't laugh at that. Other discussion? Other discussion. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Just a matter of a start date. I spoke to Ashley earlier today. Mike, did you want to comment on that? What's the plan?
I talked to him a little bit about this today too. We weren't necessarily sure what the full process was for getting someone started. So we were thinking that she could start a week from tonight. And that would give some time to get the paperwork and everything in order, and then a week, next Monday, the 9th.
Any issues with the council on that score? But I would think perhaps it would be in order for the young lady to be noticed and invited to come in, as you do, with all new hires. Thanks. Any other comments in that regard? Well, thank you all for pulling this together. Lori feels a tough act to follow, so we sure wish her well.
Maria did say that she knew Lori was available to help train just at night. Like Maria did say that, well, we went over that Lori was available to help with certain things, but it would have to be at night. So that portion's at least been discussed for the kids about the company and all that, but
We can get them in touch and they can
we figure out which
when
day.
they
Yeah.
can.
Well, it sounds like, anyone that's willing to give up, there needs to be, obviously, some orientation. And if I were any new hire of this kind, I'd want to come in and take advantage of somebody offering their help.
I think it's very considerate of Lori to come in
It
and
is.
continue to
It is.
help her through the transition period.
It is. Moving on now to item 9 under new business. This is an issue that we've discussed for a couple of months. And Manny, would you mind
Sure.
taking a lead on this?
Yes, you said,
Thank you.
Mr. President, we have discussed this issue. It's in the form of an ordinance to increase the cap on volunteer firefighters, rescue personnel for tax exemptions. Jim did a great job of drafting the ordinances, and I apparently had a little backwards. I thought we had to do the ordinance first. We've got to do the resolution. Once the resolution is passed by the council, I'm assuming and hoping that it will be, because it is a good ordinance for the first responders in this town. We will present it to statewide rep and senator to have it passed at the state level, and then come back in and have the ordinances passed. Jim, did I get that correct?
Correct.
So, looking to get looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
Well, I move that we approve. Manny,
second it.
all right, there's a second. Manny, for the record, did you want to read the specific, do you have that in front
I
of you?
don't have it
Okay,
in
I
front
have
of
it
me.
here.
Thank you.
If you want to read the
Sure.
resolutions, for the record, please.
A resolution urging passage of state amendatory legislation regarding tax exemptions for volunteer firefighters and rescue personnel in the town of Exeter, whereas the town of Exeter is a home rule community having a town council empowered by charter and pursuant to RIGL 4551 to manage its affairs in the interests of the town, and whereas the town council of the town of Exeter, after doing careful review, believes that it is of utmost importance to provide certain qualified firefighters and rescue personnel in the town with meaningful and commensurate property tax relief in the town of Exeter, and whereas similar exemptions in the town of Exeter, which are presently provided to firefighters and rescue personnel by RIGL 44-3-13.11, which need to be increased in order to equitably address current needs, now therefore it is hereby resolved as follows. The Town Council, the Town of Exeter hereby petitions its state legislative delegation to introduce and urge passage of legislation in amendment to RIGL 44-3-13.11 in the form annexed so as to provide for increased property tax exemptions for certain qualified volunteer firefighters and rescue personnel in the Town of Exeter.
Thank you. Before we vote, just to make it
Thank you.
clear to the public, once this is approved by the legislature, then we would propose, there's an ordinance already ready, which would then be posted for public hearing, and you would then see what we plan, what we hope to do to incentivize more volunteers and help the 2 fire districts, or the 2 fire, 1 and 2, to keep the population up. Yes, Scott? You could say it better than I, but that's the general intent.
Recruitment and retention.
I'm sorry?
Recruitment and retention.
How do you like that? Remember those words. He's trying to they both try to recruit. They have some success. Retaining then is the next step, so, because the training is in between, and once they're trained, you want them to stay. So, that's the process. The motion's on the table.
I just wanna say one more thing,
Yes.
Cal, because, like, bring up what Manny said, we've got the resolution that we're gonna have to send to Senator Morgan and Representative Price. She's gonna need that. The proposed, the way we've changed the wording, the lawyers up there might tweak that a little bit. And I imagine this will get a hearing in front of the House Finance Committee and the Senate Finance. In the day, we don't know, if we get this in now, we can probably get it on that docket sometime in January.
Oh,
Are you guys available in the afternoon to, go up there? 'Cause,
Wide open.
Cause they usually only give you maybe 48, 72 hours notice on something like this. And, I'd be more than willing to meet you guys up there and bring you to the right room, so.
Thank you very much.
But if it goes to the House Finance Committee, you won't have a problem whatsoever. They're one of the best committees up there, so, yeah. That's all I have to say.
that's good. And thanks, Dan. And that would be Representative
We'll just have to
Casimiro.
clean you up a little bit.
Representative Casimiro as well as Mr. Price.
Yeah, cause she has
and
one little
Senator
section of town here, yeah.
Warren. So those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted, and we'll move forward. Manny, thank you for that legwork,
Betcha.
and Scott and others.
Thank
Wish
you.
you well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do what we can.
Yep. That's all we can ask.
Regarding the next item, 911 coordinator, I suggested we place this here only because the current coordinator's been doing this job for quite some time. Did I say 27?
27 years.
27 years in different capacities, but most recently as a clerical assistant. Now that young lady's moved on to, that's young, because she's younger than I am, but most everyone here, I guess. She's moved on to deputy town clerk. And so my question was simply whether or not that would continue. I think that you would continue to do that if you
Oh,
wish.
sure, yes, I would.
Is there any thought of the council?
Well, I had some
otherwise?
thoughts, as a matter of fact, I put them down, and I'd just like to read it. The clerk for the planning board, zoning board, and inspector, building inspector clerk administers multiple departments and by default functions as a coordinator between them. The 9/11 coordinator directly affects and relates to these three departments, and it is only natural that the numbering of buildings and lots that involve these departments would be most efficiently served by the clerk. As a member of the Exeter Town Council and former member of the planning board, I believe that the 911 coordinator position would be more appropriate assigned to the new clerk. However, in speaking with the current 911 coordinator, I was enlightened as to the extent of the responsibility and experience required by that position. The clerk is new and already has an extensive, and I'm talking about the clerk of the planning board, is new and already has an extensive learning curve confronting her for that position. It would be unfair and unrealistic to burden her with that additional responsibility at this time. Although assigning the 911 coordinator position to the clerk is a logical move now is obviously not the best time. It would be better to consider the change at a later time when the new clerk is proficient in a new position and when the expertise of the 911 coordinator can be more effectively transferred. So I believe that the position, that particular position, is more appropriate with the new planning board clerk because of her dealing with those three boards. But again, at the same time, this is not the time to do it.
And I think, I've talked with Pat and others, I think in other communities, I think sometimes it's police or sometimes it's fire, I don't know, you know who does it in other communities, Pat. Probably not the deputy clerk, but at the same time, you've been doing it for years, you're willing to continue.
And I do it on a part-time basis where I go out to the driveways to assign the numbers so they're in consecutive order. And I do that on my own time. And I've never charged the town a dime for mileage, only the stipend that I receive.
Right, which you do, receive an additional stipend.
And I keep
to
the
do that.
dispatch and the rescue and fire, plus 911 headquarters, plus our people here of the new, with the new numbers and so on, so.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? So I'll move on, there's no need to have
If
this.
anybody, if you'd like to, if the council at any time wants to have a work session or anything, I'd be happy to show you, explain it to you,
Well-
because it's not just as it sounds, like it's addresses and assigning numbers to maps and that kind of thing. A lot of people over the years have thought it's a 10-minute job. It's not.
You did it from the get-go when they mandated it, right? You implemented the whole program.
We had 4 911 coordinators before I took it.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of trouble, this room was full of people, financial town meeting, the news reporters, and then I was assigned it by the council, appointed by the council in 1992. And I've had it ever since, and I don't know that anybody's really come before anybody with any complaints, even with the fire department or the rescue or whatever, but,
Well,
I'd be happy to
you have an in
continue
at the
it.
fire department.
What was that?
You have an in at the fire department.
Well, only sense of chief is my son, maybe.
Well, and I think certainly before any change would be considered, that would have to be, people would have to understand exactly what the job involves.
Exactly, yes,
So
yes.
I appreciate you offering to do that, and so if the council feels a need going forward, but I think at the moment, we leave it with you if you'll continue,
I'd be happy to, as long as everybody's on the same page.
okay? Good, we good? Okay, and Lynn, I think, that's done with, it's not gonna be continuing, right, no reason, so take, that goes off, yeah, that goes off the agenda.
Thank you.
Regarding item 9C, it's a bit of a unique, I'm not sure if it's unique, it's a bit unique, a suggestion. I was asked if I would consider having this item added to the agenda. So I said, look, we can add any item that the council wishes, or if it happens to be Madam Clerk, I would certainly defer to her all the time if we needed to. So here's a request. Holiday falls on a Wednesday. No one's here on Tuesday because it's Christmas.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day by union contract.
Right. They close those days. So the concern is that there's a Monday in between where some clerk's concerned some people might opt for vacation time. She's concerned that the building might have a skeleton staff.
One or two people.
She asked if we would consider, and I understand why, that we consider closing the town offices on Monday. But I immediately suggested that posed a problem with other people that work on Monday, specifically highway department. So I don't believe we can offer that to the group of people here without offering it to those gentlemen as well. They also might not, because they do not work. Steve, am I correct? You do not work on Christmas Eve day?
Correct.
So they might also opt for vacation time, and you might have a skeleton crew,
I
possibly.
already have requests.
I beg your
for-
pardon?
I already have requests for either side of the holiday at this time.
So,
So they would have to take a vacation day for the day off,
Personal vacation.
or a personal day. Okay.
unless we consider closing the services and then we get a day.
Right now, they have to take a day off.
What's that?
Right now, they have to take a day off.
Yeah.
They have to use personal
Anyhow.
sick vacation.
What would happen if DPW had to be called back?
Weather.
Overtime?
It would be overtime between 7 and 3 PM on top of the day's pay.
For the Monday.
For the
For
month.
Monday, Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday, Christmas,
Oh, definitely.
Saturday and Sunday.
anytime.
Are there any deadlines for payments that are gonna be due? I'd be concerned about missing a day.
No, because we still have the rest of the month for recordings and whatnot, and the tax quarter's closed, well, not closed. Which
It's
has
actually
the
very
15th.
slow on that close to Christmas.
Yeah,
Usually no
on Monday, it's gonna be slow. Phones aren't gonna ring much.
There may be two people working here,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll have to work, and the rest of us will be off.
See, I
Me and
personally,
Maria.
it's,
Yeah,
It would be
given,
me and Maria, yeah.
given the way the holiday falls, I see it as I see it as a gesture of support for the staff.
I'll make the
Give them an
motion that we
extra day.
close town offices on Monday the 23rd, Mr. President.
I'll second.
And those gentlemen that work for the highway
DPW,
department.
correct.
Yeah. We talked about, thank you, is there a second?
Yes,
Yes, I see.
Frank.
Motion is made and seconded. I also want to consider, like, for example, the library, but the library isn't open on Mondays anyway. So those are the, unless I've missed something, operating.
This would be for the people who work Monday. No.
Library's closed on Mondays.
Mondays. Yeah, and I think it applies to all people more here on Monday. And I say that only because I know we have a situation with someone who's here only Mondays and Thursdays. Well, I don't think she's gonna come to an empty building. I don't think she should be here anyway. So that's my thought. Manny, that's the motion. There's a second. Other discussion. Steve?
I'm good.
I know that sounded like a setup, and I didn't mean to do it that way. We haven't talked about it, but I know there was discussion. And we'll just hope the weather is good. Don't you smile, Scott, I know you might be plowing.
No,
What?
don't say that.
Oh, no, I know. Other discussion, folks? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the day.
Merry Christmas.
Don't keep asking, but then, whatever. Next year's another year.
Well, only because this is one
I
day
know,
of the school.
I know.
It doesn't, not at all.
Well, my wife on my Monday.
Thank you.
We moved to unfinished business. Let's move along to historic preservation, some potential projects. Ken, tell us, I know you've talked with me, tell the rest of the council, you're kind of tweaking at some of these buildings that need attention. How you doing?
Good, so I've had several conversations with contractors working on two of our buildings, Brian Patch, come down and to review over the weekend. What needs to be done on three buildings, these.
What are the three again?
Wallville, Woody Hill, and the,
Woody Hill, Old Town Hall, and here?
just to see what
Just
needs.
see, just to look at it.
Yep.
That's okay.
And he's been called, he sent me a picture, I sent it out. He's been called up to New Hampshire, Mass. Board to do an emergency roof job on a building that municipality currently uses that has the wood shingles. And he sent a picture and there's holes coming through and it's landing on the town manager's office. So because of the weather, he couldn't make this last weekend because he's trying to shore it up. But we'll get to it next weekend, week after we're done. But I'll let you know when we schedule something, the council could, in case somebody wants to come on the three-building tour. That's it.
Thank you. Just again for the record, you council remembers that there is a fund that we have already set aside to address issues that are needed, may be needed to address. Thank you. Next item. This has been an ongoing, I call it a saga. I spoke to Ken, only because I know there's been some concerns expressed, and I think the council needs to be aware of those, or at least address those. And I asked Ken if he would be kind enough to refresh everybody's memory, because I know we've been reaching out about workplace harassment training, which involves issues not only of sexual harassment, but others as well. And Ken forwarded me a sort of a mini report he prepared over the weekend. Ken, do me a favor, would you share it so that we're all brought back to where we
It's
are?
the timeline of events from the date that we started to review the previous policy.
Kenny, can I ask you to speak a little louder, please?
Yep. It's just a timeline of events from the time that we started to review the previous version of the policy that was from 5/5/1998. In April of 18, we received the trust model harassment policy from the insurance company, and then we Exeterized it and turned it into 3.07. Our harassment policy was adopted in June of 2018 by the council. The next month, there was discussion, there was a work session to talk about the training, and we had Mr. Paul Culp come in, who volunteered to take a look at our policies, but also to offer training on harassment and workplace harassment. He's a professional in the field, so he does for a living. So then we met with him and we reviewed all policies. We have all his comments. When we review the policies again, we'll send his comments with them. Starting back with the adoption of the policy, we adopted it in June, and then next discussion was in October that Lynn brought up the issue about the trust being able to possibly train the town workforce, employees, staff, volunteers, in harassment training. And from there, it just went on a month. In November, Paul Culp also submitted his proposal, and it was similar, but we were also at the time, I think, researching, trying to get online training, And there's so many different ways to do it instead of trying to bring everybody together. This last week. And then in December, Paul submitted his, December of 2018, he submitted a formal training packet. And then from January to June, the council discussed it each meeting and just moved forward with it. Now in August, the trust provided some dates for the training, and then according to the minutes, it said that that they provided the dates. We had the ones for September, but they didn't work for the trust. And now we were in October, and Lynn is still working with the trust to get some dates in there. So it's been slow, but moving forward. And it's really based on the trust. It's their model policy. They should be training us. And if it's for free, they should be providing the service. I don't know Mr. Culp's costs or fees, but there's gonna be something associated with it, whether trust is for free. But it's based on our policy.
Yeah, Ken, thank you, because I just want to, excuse me, just say that Lynn and I have discussed this a number of times, and she's placed calls. And I know most recently, Lynn's going to look for some days in January, because they're not available anytime we would ask. And the issue also is the logistics of how this is approached. Daytime, there are commissions and boards that need to be addressed, but many of them work during the day. So I think our initial thought was to have a training session here for daytime employees, close the building for an hour or two as it necessary so that people could be here. And Lynn, I know you placed calls last week before the holiday. Any feedback yet?
No, it was Ryan Murray at the trust. I asked him for dates in January and February. He said he was getting back to me. I think he must have gone on vacation for Thanksgiving, because he didn't.
Why don't we just take a minute to have a little bit more conversation about this, because we've been advised in the past, some before this council was seated, that it was something we needed to do. I recognize it, and I'm sure Dan, because he was sitting here at the last council, recognizes it. The logistics of it are challenging. My thought is that we should shoot for Tuesday, because for one thing, we have 3 members of a board of canvassers that are here only once a week that morning. So those people are captured. Library people might be able to come, although I don't know what time the library opens, but it might have to open just a little bit later. And then the folks that are here, and I believe the DPW folks need to have this addressed as well.
Most of my guys have already had the training.
They've had training.
Most of the tenured individuals, 2 of the newer have not.
Tell us, I don't know that we had this conversation with you. How do they get trained?
The Rhode Island Public Works Association offers it for free to public works personnel through a federal grant. And the Public Works Association of Rhode Island runs that program for all free training for public works people. So we get confined space, the workplace harassment, sexual harassment, CPR, and then numerous other trainings that are for free.
And the trust, go ahead.
They can only do public works people for free. Okay? Like we get computer training for free, but if you were gonna, we could hire a trainer, and I can provide a trainer, but there's a fee attached when they do other than public works.
And we knew we could do that too, but when we discovered, and I believe I suggested months ago that since the trust would handle, should there be any complaint, should there be a case where the trust has to be involved, it seems to me if the trust has provided training, then they know these people, our employees, have been trained. Maybe I'm wrong, to me that makes sense. But if I'm wrong, I want somebody to say this. So I wish that Lynn would continue. Should we look for, tell me about Tuesday, just so that you have some direction?
The first or fifth Tuesday, right? If it's gonna be here.
Well, no, I'm talking daytime.
Okay.
Now, but see, then we have the other issue of boys and the other boys.
We have to figure it out logistically because, it's supposed to be done every year. And we
Every,
have to, have on record certification of it by all boards, members and employees.
well,
By
it's-
all, so everyone has to go.
That's my understanding.
Because with the ethics, it was, can you
According
please
to
come?
Vin,
Everyone that represents the town.
they come into contact with employees, they're appointed on the boards, so they're in contact with each other. They're not paid employees, but they're basically representatives of the town, and they interact with each other, and they may interact with employees. So that was my understanding, we have to do this every year, and we have to get certification from everybody, and have it on file.
So,
In case something happens, then we have the, what's the word?
So if we.
Proof, evidence?
Evidence, thank you, that
It's done
we've done the
online.
training.
so if we set up a schedule, we should set up something that
You
can be
get like a
Work
certificate
every year,
work every year.
for everybody.
so Mike just raises the question about an online program, and Mr. Cole spoke to us about that as
Yeah.
being possible.
But I mean, that way, like, you could give,
They can do it.
everybody has to do it in January or whenever, like, you have a whole month, just sit down at some point and go through what it is, then
Yeah. Then
it
it's a
gives you a
matter-
certificate that
then
you
it's
can
a
put out
matter
at
of
the end,
sending out a
everybody hands them
memo.
in.
It's a matter of sending out a memo and say, do your training by January 31st.
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know what the training is online, but it might be a good idea to run it by the trust to make sure that it's something approved by the trust, because it's not gonna do any good if the trust isn't gonna let it hold any water as far as our policy is concerned.
Yeah, and they may already be tuned into that.
Sure,
So.
they may be
So
happy.
Yet another question.
No, I'm sure we're not. I just think we should run it by them.
So, I mean, we all recognize it's gotta be done, now it's just the logistics. And-
Paul Cope said he could set us up something.
Well, he did, and Paul Culp offered to try to move it forward, which I spoke to him several months back and said I appreciated his overture, and I didn't want him to think we had ignored it, but we were gonna work with the trust, and I had even suggested if the trust do a presentation that he come and see what they did, and he might be able to enhance it going forward, because he said he could, because as you said, new employees need to be exposed to this kind of training. So, we
Is there a
talk to the trust. Do you think Tuesday, or does Tuesday make sense? But as you said, Manny, maybe, or you said, Mike, maybe an online, let's investigate the online. And it could be a combination of come here and then move forward with online for all the others that might not take it, be able to take advantage.
That's what Ms. Cope had suggested, do the first one live.
And
set
then
up
follow up with,
Mhm.
exactly. And when I spoke to him, he said, don't worry, I'm way busy. So like, it's okay, I know I offered to help, but
How
I'm busy.
long will this training take in terms of time?
Oh, Steve, he's,
And oh yeah, he might
did
know.
walk out.
Probably not.
I think it's probably about an hour. They try to keep
An
it
hour,
short,
I
just
think.
like the ethics thing. Otherwise, they lose
Probably.
people.
No attention span.
Hopefully.
Mr. Ellis, may I say something?
Oh, sure.
The policy that was given to us by Lynn, which was a rewrite of the policy, it itself is outdated. It tells someone if there is concern relevant to what's going on, that they should contact Kevin McGovern or Mr. Patterson, who at the time was the vice president. So the policy itself is outdated and not correct to be done. In September of 2018, you put on the agenda sexual harassment policy. Now, that carried on for quite a while until you changed the wording of the whole thing. And I hope that when you get to the section relevant to the correspondence, that you respond to Ms. Raz, I don't know what to call her, Miss or Mrs. or whatever her name is, to Elaine Rasmussen's letter, who was quite affected.
I have it here, and I
Yes.
intended to.
Okay, thank you very much.
I intended to address it now,
Oh, fine,
as part of this issue, because I know she expresses concern.
that's correct.
And to the comment that's made here, we changed the wording because it came to our attention that workplace harassment involves more than just sexual harassment. It also involves methods of intimidation and there are
Yep.
other issues beside the one.
That's correct.
So we've expanded it, and Ken has given us this overview. And honestly, I would like to have it solved. And I would like to say on Tuesday, and I'm saying this, on Tuesday, January, and I'm making a date in early January. And I can't say that because we don't have anything in front of us now. I think it should be a Tuesday, do what I said. We don't have to include Public Works now, correct?
A few.
A few.
Hold on, did you hear this way? And did you say a few or
Just
up
a
to
few,
you?
yeah, a few that haven't had it in a long time.
So those people could, you see. Anyway, so Lynn, work to do.
I'll call her. I'll call her.
Pat, assistance, please. Well, see, and the reason that I don't mean to say, the reason I'm asking to follow up is because these folks are here in an office during the day where they're available to answer phone calls and know the calendar and know when the building's available. Because there are some people that think that I should be the one coordinating this. I don't think it should be me. I think we need to have you folks, because I'm not always by a phone.
That's what we're here for.
And Ken, of course, could be working. Ken, I don't mean to ignore you, because you could be working on this too, but you already have. And you also work during the day, so when people need to contact someone, I think it should be here. Council, any other comments? I'm not trying to put this off. So, with regard to the comment that just made by Tim, I have here a letter indicating, I won't read the whole letter, I could, it said this is from Ms. Rasmussen, who's a member of the Library Board of Trustees, was chair for quite some time, for years. She indicates she doesn't want to come, or won't be attending ethics training because she would like us to provide the training that we've indicated we're going to provide. New policy was promised almost a year and a half ago. Having been one of the main participants in the event that brought the policy to everyone's attention, I recognize how important this issue is. The council has instituted new policies in this time period. I wonder why these sexual harassment policies fallen by the wayside. But just, Ken, you said we updated and we sent it out, but to Ted's point, I just heard a comment that before Ted mentioned it, that the names are wrong. So I think we talked about whether or not it can't indicate the council president as opposed to a name. And I don't know, I heard this discussion somewhere.
We're gonna take a look at it, because what we usually do with things that have to be changed periodically, we put them in policy as like an attachment A, so they can be changed without amending the policy. So, I'll take a look at it tonight. If it's just
If
posting
you
on the
would.
wall, and it says contact Will, and Lynn may just be able to make a change without amending the policy. If we need to amend the policy, we will.
Which we can do easily enough here, you bring it to us and we vote to amend. Thanks, Ken. Now, Elaine goes on to say she feels slighted and unappreciated. I and other board and commission members who volunteer time, the incident as it unfolded left a bitter taste in her mouth. Now it seems I went through all that anxiety, sleeplessness for nothing. And I just want to say, because you've all read this, you need, those of you that weren't here, need to know that she was not a person involved in any kind of a complaint, but she sat on the library board and there was an issue that surfaced. Am I making this clear without?
Yes, you are, you're doing a very nice
I'm
job.
trying.
Thank you. You're doing a very nice job, and I'm sure she'll thank you.
Wow.
Does someone have that recorded?
I didn't say me. I didn't say me. I said she would thank you.
No, I'm talking about everything you said. Ted, get well, stay calm.
I have to stay calm.
Good.
Otherwise, you'd find me on the,
That will be,
you'd find me on the floor
no, we don't
bouncing
want,
around.
no. We don't want to have to walk over you.
No.
I
And
ain't
we,
giving it mouth to mouth.
and we, well, he's your friend, Dan, so,
He's
you
doing
know,
it for me.
you can do what you need to do. It could be a whole new world, and we could all be working collectively to make the new world a better place. Anyway, that being said, I don't mean to go on and on. Ken, what you sent me is I think, a reasonable format that it could be copied for us.
Yeah, right on it.
Well, here's what I would like to do. I would like to ask Madam Clerk if she would respond to that letter and provide a copy with this overview that you provided to us, and send to Elaine and indicate that we continue to work on this, and we will try to get something set up so that it works.
Well, I'll email it to you tomorrow. Tonight.
There is a companion piece that I'm not going to read, but you've all seen it. But Ted was speaking to the importance of this agenda and this issue on this agenda item. It's a follow-up, but the council has seen it. Unless the council wishes to make any other comment.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let's move on to. Don't leave. Shall we keep moving? If we need to stop, then we'll just hold it up and wait till you come back. Comp plan revision update, next item. Is there, I don't know that there's anything to report, is there?
I think the only thing to report basically is that the intern that's been helping actually with this is being renewed and continued until June. She'll be available until June to help her with the comp plan.
Well, that's good. And then my only question is, has there been some work that's come out of that anybody that you think is gonna be helpful to Ashley? Do we know?
Well, she's working on updating statistics and
But is she-
information and maps, et cetera.
Right, but she has been doing some of that as far
Yes.
as you know?
Yes.
Good, that's,
And it's extended through the governor's workforce.
I read that. I think, Maria, I think you shared that with us.
Yes.
That,
You get a 50%.
that this program pays half of what we're giving
That's
her to
correct.
do the
So
work.
we were just approved for another from January 15th to June 2nd.
With the same intern, correct?
Correct.
Same intern, good, good. And I don't know if we mentioned it last month, seems like we did. We referenced that the Economic Development Task Force was gonna look at the economic development piece of the comp plan, but I don't know if you had a chance.
Not yet,
But it's somewhere out there for you to
We're
review.
gonna be addressing that later.
Good, okay. Manny,
Website?
yes, please.
We met 2 weeks ago. We got some clarification on what we can and cannot do. We will not be meeting in December just because of the holidays and everyone's schedule, but in January, I'll be setting up a meeting with Civic Plus, which is one of the vendors that does a lot of municipal websites. The plan is to meet with 2 additional vendors as well, just to get an idea about what we should do. And I'm thinking that after those meetings, we'll have a pretty good idea on cost and content for the website. But the plan is to get it done hopefully by the spring.
Has James Angie's been meeting with you, has he?
It's me, Mike Kahn, Lynn, Monique Hauser, and Amy Nielsen.
Okay, and James, yeah.
And
Good.
James, yeah.
And James Angie, good. Thanks, Manny. Questions? Transfer station purchase,
I'd like to address that in executive session, it's
Okay.
already on the agenda under that.
right, which simply means we haven't purchased it yet, but it's a work in progress. We haven't purchased it, but keep in mind, it's been approved, so we're working out details, which we'll hear more about. The next item, this is the impact fees issue. Ken, I know you said you've been struggling.
I sent
How you
you
doing?
another version of it last night, and he smiled and liked it.
I did, I smiled, I actually smiled. No, it's, Ken did a nice job on it, we're very close, I got it last night, so wasn't able to really get something in a finished form to you today, but I'll get something back to Ken probably this week. Hopefully by next month, we'll have something that'll be ready for you to look at.
And I reported that I wish I could get it tomorrow weekend.
Big boy, Danny.
It wouldn't be enough time to take action.
Okay, Dan, we're just getting an update on the impact fees
Yeah.
ordinance, and Ken's moving it along, and it's in Jim's hands, a revised version, hopefully, and then in January,
I think
he'll
so.
report back to us.
I'll probably have my comments back to Ken this week.
Okay. Progress being made. The accessory dwelling units issue, you have not heard back yet. Does anyone know about the discussion?
Well, the work session from this past month was dedicated to a joint work session between the planning board and the economic task
Okay.
force to help fine tune, where is it, it's on here somewhere, the application for site readiness.
Good, yeah.
Which everybody got together. There were two different work sessions, actually, got the application filled out. One was solely back on the task force members, and then there was a second one that was with everyone, and that's all together, and has been submitted, hopefully we.
Right, so, yeah, that goes to the item later, but that's good. So in other words, they really
They're
they haven't had a
tied together.
chance
We
to,
were hoping to have something
Oh,
for this
because-
month,
there is a connection. Okay.
but there was a time frame associated with the
Okay.
site readiness application.
So we're keeping it there, because there is discussion ongoing, correct?
Yes.
Item H, 10H, there was going to be some thought given to that. Manny, I think you suggested a review. I don't know if you've had an opportunity, or you and Frank, or all those.
Frank has sent me, this is the fish house.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was looking for it on the agenda, I didn't realize it was the address.
Okay.
Councilman DiGregorio did send me some stuff, he and I have not had a chance to get together and look things over, but I'd ask that it stay on the agenda, so we can hopefully get together
Sure.
Christmas Eve.
No.
Wow.
Okay. See, something always gets in the way. Wait, I think that Frank, would you want to say something?
Yeah, there were a few questions I had, probably can't get them resolved tonight, but first of all, there's a bond that already exists on the site without a principal use. There's no residence. And my question is, does permitting the fish bond constitute a second violation of this ordinance? There's already a bond on the site without a residence, and now there's another bond on the site without a residence, a primary residence. Also, the owner stated at the council work session that this was to be used as a farm stand. My question is, a farm stand is limited to 200 square feet per the Exeter zoning ordinance, and according to the building permit, the floor space is 1,348 square feet without the basement. Also, a farm stand is a special type of accessory use, requires development plan review by the planning board for the zoning court. And lastly, I have a question. Did the owner tell the zoning inspector at the time of his application that this was to be used as a farm stand or just as a bond? So these are the issues that I think we'd like to get
Probably
resolved.
what you shared with Manny, that you had.
I guess the issue is, should someone looked a little harder before the permitting process before the permit was issued? Because one of the things we want to look into is, what's the permitting process? Was it followed in this case based upon the concerns raised by Councilman DiGregorio? And is there anything the town can do if the permitting process is not followed when you have a building of this nature? And by the way, Cars are still pulling over. I almost hit a vehicle that pulled out onto the road 2 days ago. So the problem still exists.
Okay, we'll leave that. And we'll go to item 10I. There has been, work done there. Steve, you're here. You have in front of you, or somewhere, you've been given the proposed amendments to the Exeter Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Solid Waste. We addressed these last month, and I think you helped us with some language. And now we have some, what I call amended language to what we originally looked at. And it would appear to me that we're in a position to be able to put this out for public hearing. Is there something I missed? It looks like you've got all of you working
So I
through.
went back to Steve. Steve said he had no problem with my suggestion.
So, it seems to me that what's appropriate is that we put this on a docket for public hearing in January so that we can address the changes that are being proposed, the operating of the transfer station and related matters. Council, you have this, you've seen this. I'll move that we post this for public hearing.
Seconded.
Yeah, January, forgot the date already. 6, is it? 6. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. When you place an ad, you indicate that copies of the full ordinance will be available here at Town Hall, I assume, because this is multi-pages. So you would generally advertise that there is a sort of a capsule summary, and that the documents are available here. We voted on that, did we? Are you sure?
No, we didn't.
There's a motion on the table. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Item J is one that has been there and will stay. Steve, you're working on this?
Yeah, we're waiting, still waiting from the,
We'll continue this then to next month. Item K, that is the issue that we addressed last month, and to which Mike has spoken briefly. Continue, please, would you tell us? I appreciate that this has been completed. Go ahead, Mike.
Basically, what we've asked for is about $65,000 through this program to help be able to assess what a site would be capable of supporting for either commercial development or what are the limitations of the site. And we used basically the intersection of 1 and 2 and 3. With that being already zoned for business, it seemed like a adequate place to start. And right now,
Thanks,
we'll just wait and see.
It's my understanding that this was submitted to Rhode Island Commerce Department. It was 6 pages that was drafted by Ashley. And I would like to recognize and thank Planner Ashley for commitment in preparing an excellent 6-page document. Although that was intended to be a joint effort, the creation, preparation, and the submission of that document ended up being solely the job of the planner who was already, who was only part-time and working without a planning clerk. I would hope that the economic development in the future, economic development task force in the future will take more initiative and more leadership in these type of projects, since it is the purview of the economic development task force.
I think between multiple work sessions, I feel like everybody's got a little bit better of an idea about what would go into something like this. Because I know a lot of members of the task force, some of the members of the planning board hadn't done this yet. So Ashley did a great job of getting it all together and pushing it forward. And between almost the entire task force through different pieces, there were only a few members that I didn't see between the two different meetings. Everyone tried to chip in if they could, but again, you have a group that isn't familiar with that process yet. So hopefully, moving forward, like the task force can give me some more grants. I don't know, whoever else wants to give out money.
Hey, Mike, thanks, and Frank, to your comments, this is I see a multi-page, 5, 6-page, full-blown narrative of the process, and this was pulled together by our planner, Ashley, which speaks to her capacity to do this. I know she was hesitant when we asked her to do this, because it means that the work that she put into this gives her enough time to do some, perhaps other things that she could be attending to, but it seems like it's an effort worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely.
It comes, it comes with a letter indicating support from the person who owns the property. This is all available, it's public record. I just wanted to read the letter that was sent on behalf of the council. It's to the Rhode Island Commerce, regarding the site readiness program, to whom it may concern. I'm writing this letter as Town of Exeter Town Council President to inform Rhode Island Commerce that the entire Town Council of Exeter is in full support of the application that's being submitted for your site readiness program. The application has been discussed by various boards and commissions and department staff, and was a team effort on the part of those involved. The town supports the efforts of the group to attempt to obtain grant funding through this program to further economic development for the community and the state. Concludes with, don't hesitate to reach out, contact me or someone, but of course I write this on behalf of the planner, and I write on your behalf because there was no time. This, if you remember, this was a very timely, if you will, submission requirement. It had to be done. I didn't see a point in calling a special meeting of you, or of you, to see if you would approve of asking for grant money, which may or may not materialize, and it doesn't bind us to anything except to explore, and to see if something can be done to make the site ready for some development that could increase the tax base. My understanding, do I have that right? We have letters of support from Chris Palmer, the chair of the Exeter Planning Board. Have a letter of support from Lauren Thurn, chair of the Economic Development Task Force, in addition to my letter of support. And these were all required as part of the submission to indicate the Commerce Commission that people wanted to see this move forward. So I likewise thank Ashley and everybody who was involved in pulling this together for the work, and hope that something will come of it. Moving on to, any other comments
Can't
there?
go away.
Sorry?
I said as item K, get it going away now.
Oh, yes, we'll remove item K, thanks, Mike, yes, because we've addressed that tonight.
We get money, we'll put it back.
Oh, yeah, we certainly will, under new business.
Well, we did them.
L, preservation of historical cemeteries. Ken, I don't know that you have anything to add, but this has been there because we had a request from Sheila Reynolds on behalf of a resident This request came to us last January, I believe, regarding a donation.
And Lynn sent a letter, Sheila.
And Lynn has a bit of an update, so, and Lynn's been trying to follow up, and she and Sheila have talked. Lynn, bring us up to speed, please.
So when I saw Sheila, I reminded her of my memo, and she said, yep, I'm gonna check into that. She called me today. She tried the number of the woman who wanted to donate the money, it's been disconnected. She doesn't know if that was because the woman got rid of her home phone, or she's no longer at the residence. So she's gonna go out and to the, where she was living, and see if she can find out if she's still there or what's happened. And I asked her to do it between now and the January meeting, so we could decide if, we're gonna do this or not, or be able to do this or not.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn.
Well,
And finally, M, this was the issue that was brought to us last month by a member of the school committee. Residents, children for school purposes. You have information that was given to you before. I actually have a question, Pat, I don't know if you can answer. We have a revised draft. You saw this. Does the count changed a bit? Tell us that
That's
this,
what it should be.
this is what it
That's what
should be.
Yeah. The other one, I don't know, the other one was off. And
But you,
and
this
that
is your
did-
verification.
It's not my verification,
No, but I mean-
but yes, that's what I have, that they sent me originally when I checked the streets, and that's what I had for a total. The other total they had, I don't know where they got that from. Cause I
I'm sure
said
they
that, I
had
said
more
that was,
too.
huh?
They had more too.
Yes, they did, and I said that wasn't right, from what I had, that they sent me, but that there is correct.
So this, the issue of which we're speaking is called, it's labeled a revised draft of the Exeter West Greenwich Regional School District student population by town. And I added this only here because we were discussing students that are counted, et cetera. So you all have that information. And you have other information. Is there any move that anyone here wishes to make regarding that item?
I don't have that thing with me from last month, Cal, but it was a pretty substantial figure that we're supposed to be reimbursed, but the school district's taking it as revenue. Something we should bring up with them in their budget hearings?
That reimbursement number comes off of the top before it's dispersed back out.
We're supposed to get it Exeter, not the EWG district, but they're putting it on their books as revenue.
I had talked with Maria about this a little bit, and if it came off of the top before everybody got broken out, really that's only a small portion compared to if we had said, we want all of that. I would be hesitant to think that possibly if I was West Greenwich might say, well, then you can have all of the rest of the bill associated with those. And it's, the lesser of two evils is, let them take it off the top and divide it out.
We're getting half, and you're paying the brunt.
Or if we pushed on the other half, they could just as easily push back and we could end up owing like another few $100,000 instead of. If they did the opposite thing to us, push back.
Well, they've tried to make us pay half the bill before, so, for their students, which they're gonna push again, I'm sure. I think it needs more research and it needs to be brought up in the budget hearings.
Well, the other, Dan, to the point of reimbursements, et cetera, the figure of, I don't know, some 800,000, that was the cost of.
870,000.
Yeah, that was the cost of students that are housed in Exeter. I mean, that's a figure that's shared by both towns, and West Greenwich is paying a portion of that. And the question that I was left with after a discussion a month ago was whether or not a new program that would change the way districts, like this district, is charged for students that are placed in that group home. Remember that the discussion was that the town to which the student actually lived.
It's supposed to be
Yes.
billed.
So I asked that question, and yes, a student has already come through, was placed there from Providence. The bill was paid by Providence. That's what I was told by the superintendent. I said, my question is that actually a program that is in effect going forward? His answer is yes.
That makes this a moot point.
Well, moving forward, it's gonna change according to the, but all we all know, here's the dilemma. We all know what the state says they'll do today, maybe
They'll
not
pull the
what
rug
they'll
out from you
do.
tomorrow.
They may
You don't
not
trust
do
them?
that tomorrow. Okay, let's not get too critical. However, Manny, we know from past history,
Yes, we do.
and we're not just talking pensions, we're talking about school reimbursement. School reimbursement, monies promised to towns. Treasurer, madam, have we always received everything we've been promised?
Not at the school level, no.
Oh, but the town level, we're good.
I mean,
Oh, good.
So far.
Restore our faith, will you please? Tell us that everything we're promised we get.
well, I can't say that
Oh,
going
I didn't
forward.
think so. I know, she's very careful, and I don't blame her, Maria. Any move on that issue at this point?
Like I said, we should research it and watch it at their budget, so
Okay.
see if they come up with it.
Very good. Hearing no motion, and then I would direct Madam Clerk to remove that item from the agenda.
Pretty well.
Going forward with reports. Ken, do you have anything more to tell us? You've already been busy.
Just like to report on the ethics training that we
Okay.
had on,
Oh, good. Oh, ethics training report, please, Ken.
on November 25th, Monday night, we had approximately a little over 50 people in attendance here to attend the ethics training presented by Lynn Vidacious, right? Vidacious from the ethics.
Teachers, whatever,
Vidacious.
that's good.
We went through that.
Radishes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Just French pronunciation.
Yeah. It was a full house.
It was a full house. And I just thank Patty because she sent the email, and that's why they came. I would've
She
sent
certainly
it
did.
to people.
See, and here's the problem with, everybody pitches in, and I said to Ken, would you just please make sure you put out like a little save the date or something, Ken, because Ken had helped to orchestrate this whole evening, so he did, but Pat sent it out, and the next thing, it kind of went to
Ken
everybody.
concurred with me on who I sent it to.
I know, I'm not saying you did
Invite
anything
me.
wrong.
We missed the Wood Pawcatuck people.
You
I didn't
missed
even think
me.
of them.
Well, see,
The who?
yeah.
Who did you say?
The Wood Pawcatuck.
I wasn't invited, but I can.
Not even-
You didn't get the memo?
No.
Try to include the clerk in your memos, please, Miss Deputy. Anyway, the point is that there were 50
Where were you,
people,
clerk?
and there were a number of people who came who have, as Steve said, some people already trained with the workplace harassment, there are people who also receive ethics training through the professional organizations, and some were here, and several asked me, and I said, look, you've heard it, it's okay. There were no certificates issued, we never discussed that.
You didn't ask me to do that.
No, thank God, oh jeez. Anyway, at least it was provided, and it was an interesting program. And people were very attentive.
It was interesting.
Appreciate it, Ken, thank you. And by the way, I asked Pat or Lynn, if I thought you might like to have copies of the people that signed in, so you'll find somewhere in your paperwork, so you know who was here, because I wanted to put some names with boards, and, we don't see people, we appoint them, but we don't see
We had a
them.
good turnout that night, not everybody obviously, but we had a good.
Well, no, but that's, okay. did what we could. Anything else, Ken?
No, that's it.
Jim, something quick.
Nothing that hasn't been talked about other than the property purchase matter, which is on the executive session.
Okay. Regarding Public Works, Steve, I know I didn't have a chance to see your lengthy, I'd like to review it. You've been busy all over town. But I want to share this with you, I'll pass this around, you can take a look at this later, but, you know, this, it comes to me, but, well, they put it, it says Exeter Council, but you don't get copies of this, I don't believe, I think there's only one copy that comes to us, it's the Rhode Island Public Works Association. It's a monthly, it's a fall report, and there are plenty of information here about training, and it seems like a whole lot of that, there's a lot here, Steve, that you're involved with,
Yes,
because your position is
President
of the
Rhode Island
Rhode Island
Public
Public Works Association. He's pictured here with Peter Alvini, so I know, have you been consulted on the Route 10 construct, I'm just kidding, don't go there, they're working on it, but don't go there. So, hey, keep up the good work, Steve. Pass that along if anybody wants to take a look, please. Steve, anything in there that I should tell people about? What'd you do?
Well, in the report,
Anything, yeah.
or in that?
No, in this.
In
How
there,
about you?
we
Go
trained
ahead.
300 high school seniors on public works and construction position jobs.
You did what, you trained, what did you say?
300 high school students.
You got involved in?
Right, they came to the Rhode Mid-State facility, and we put on a training. The Public Works Association did the training.
Like,
Everybody volunteers, of construction companies, equipment companies, everybody volunteers their time and equipment for the kids to operate. The hands-on operation of public works equipment, state police are there, fire and rescue are there. So it's all aspects of municipal government and private construction. The Cardi has their paver there, and a tree company comes with their bucket truck, and the kids get to try all this stuff out to see what it is that we do. Water companies come, they do hydrant taps, things like that. So that was one thing, it was a one-day event at Mid-State.
to see whether students might
To
feel that they've
to get kids involved in the trades instead of
Going to law school.
Yeah.
unpaid college jobs.
I was gonna say college, but, you know, you got more specific.
The
There's
trade
more-
where you
there's
can
more
make
money
real
to be
money,
made.
right?
That's right.
To go where the jobs are, actually.
Steve, any issues you encountered just recently with roads? If I didn't have a chance to look.
No, all the road stuff's good right now. Postponed one job temporarily because of the weather. Probably may even have to go to spring, but it's a drainage improvement project, but I don't know if we'll be able to get it in. It'll be weather dependent. We still have the rest of the month. So,
Is paving being done on part of Gardner Road?
that's the drainage improvement I'm talking about.
I wonder. Only because somebody was in here the other day asking, and I didn't have an answer. I
Yeah,
said, no, I don't ride with
it's been
that.
scheduled, and it's been put off 3 or 4 times, mostly because of weather, the 2 windstorms, the snow now, but the scheduling's been tough, because
Is
every
that-
time we get a day, it's too short a notice to get the road prepped properly. So, we have it almost ready, it's just, I need a day, and you can't do it in the rain and snow, so. Other than that, we've done tree work, 3 or 4 more roads have been completed in the last month.
Another report pulled from the agenda.
Yeah, this concerns the building facilities committee for the school district. We met with the joint meeting with the councils last week. And they presented their new budget. There was some confusion as to the numbers, and the meeting concluded without any conclusions. However, just got a letter from superintendent today, and I think just gonna read part of what he sent us, which is gonna affect us drastically, I think. It says, unfortunately, we received some very unexpected and devastating news from Rhode last week that changes everything. Ride posted preliminary FY '21 state aid numbers showing that Exeter West Greenwich will be reduced by an estimated $870,000 for next school year. And he goes on to say, at this time, I cannot move forward with the request that we made at our meeting concerning the buildings facility project, and that he will not be asking the towns for letters of support for the $69,700,000 project. The change, it appears that the state hands it out with one hand, takes it back with the other.
Was that?
Proving my point.
So we're meeting, tomorrow night is a scheduled meeting of the facility committee, and
You think you'll disband? No,
I don't know, I have no idea what's gonna come out of tomorrow night's meeting.
Okay, well, gee, that's pleasant. Does anyone else have an encouraging report they wanted to address? No, nobody else?
Not as encouraging as that.
Okay. We'll move on to, I believe, communication. Did I miss?
Nothing.
Did I miss communications?
No, number 12 is what you started.
Oh, no. Any other administrative issues, council? Lynn? Hearing none, move to communications. Item 13. We've addressed a couple of these already, but I know, I'm intrigued by number 7. It's listed under communications, there's something to do with grants, but, and I only read it a couple of times quickly, I didn't see grants, but I keep thinking of our park, Chelsea Park, I keep thinking of, oh good, you're still here, don't, he's about to leave. But I know we have money set aside. Now, you had a conversation with someone about this fitness setup, you did, didn't you?
Yep, they wanted to come to town and
But,
install one.
yeah, but, see, grant, I mean, it's not a grant, I mean, they're not providing us with any money out of it. The only question I have, and this is did you take a minute to say this? And it's like, for the parents that are up there with children, and there are some exercise pieces, maybe that's because subconsciously I know how much I should be there doing it. But I am sure it's a very pricey piece, I doubt we could even go there. But, Lynn, Maria, stop shaking your head. Do you have a price? No, she doesn't even want to ask me. I'm sure it's too much. It intrigued me, only because this agenda says grant. And I thought maybe Lynn knows more about it than I know, but I don't think she does.
No, but actually,
Don't-
it was
she-
presented to us.
But she didn't tell you it was any money,
No, she wanted to come to work together.
yeah, well. Okay.
Let me look into it.
Would you mind making a call?
I read
See,
everything, I was interested.
oh, see, he was interested. No, don't give it to Maria, okay? I'm sure the answer is no, but I just thought, we have money to maintain. Okay, sorry.
I just spent some.
Moving on to, I have none in front of me, this is a brief announcement. Senator Langevin will be meeting at the Wood River Golf and something, an 11th Green Restaurant on Woodville Road on Saturday, December 14th from 11:30 to 1:30. This is a luncheon, it's called Lunch with Langevin, and I've underlined one sentence. This event is free and open to the public. And so if anyone wishes to just chat about anything with I'm sorry, is that a comment from a Republican at the end of the table? No, just kidding, Dan, what did you say?
I said, we're paying for it one way or another.
Well, okay, well, you don't know, maybe he has other sources of funding, okay. Well, maybe you have some, I would certainly, if I could, I certainly have questions about what's happening in Congress these days, but I think we all do. December number 10. Ken has brought this to my attention because item 2 speaks to municipal appointments to a local workforce board governance committee. I did not read this carefully. Ken did. Ken, I pulled this from the agenda because I'm gonna ask you to tell us about this, what you're doing.
So, if you read on here, it's the elimination of the workforce partnership with Rhode, Rhode Island, and that was due to an audit from just on the labor that came down. I've sat on that board for the past 3 years, appointed by the governor, and it was made up of nonprofits, state agencies, private employers, but the federal law and rules state that it has to be represented by the locals, municipalities, and the waiver was given to the state that they could create a new board on the governor's workforce board, but that would be local representatives from municipalities. And we didn't really have any for that anymore. And it goes way back, from my understanding, to when the communities had control over this money. It's probably around $12, $13 million a year that comes in. It's with youth, workforce development, for adult workforce development. But what happened, the municipalities, and when they were asked if they wanted it back through Brian's organization, said no, because there was some stories going way back of how some municipalities didn't manage the money right. Sort of like the community development block grant, and the state or the municipalities in northern Rhode Island were on the hook for quite a bit of money to pay back. So that's when they created the workforce partnership here in Rhode Island, and now they expanded it. So I just thought it's something that I have a good take on. I know about the funding source, it's all about the training dollars that come from federal government. With the new board, putting in that, they won't have an understanding of this very complicated system. Been working on it for years, very involved, and I didn't know the council would like to put my name forward.
Ken, would you mind representing Exeter? Since you already have, this background.
Yeah, I really have to be on. But it's not the, I think the governor's workforce board control fund, this will be a government committee to kind of represent the area. So we want to represent the area, it would be the people that we work with, our nonprofits, like South County Community Action. They request funding all the time, just to encourage them to come forward and be able to support the dollars coming down the side.
This was part of the memorandum that we got from Brian Daniels, League of Cities and Towns, and so Ken, thank you for bringing this to my attention, to our attention. And I would certainly think a motion's in order to represent Exeter.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Ken as a representative from Exeter, the local workforce board governance committee. Says that would like to create, the RI Department of Labor and Training would like to create a local workforce board governance committee. And if we have Madam Clerk write to, I would say to the league, or you can just, so you tell Lynn where she should send a letter, maybe to both places. Address it to the Department of Labor with a copy of the league. I bet you might be one of the very first ones. There's no reason why Exeter can't be right at the top. Motion is made and,
Yeah,
motion is made and seconded. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. And I'm sorry, I don't think I have anything else.
Natalie and Rasmus.
Yes, which we've addressed. So I think we've addressed them all. Anything I've missed, council? Any other communications? Hearing none. We are going to move into an executive session, which we need to move in that direction. For the following reasons, I move that we go into executive session to address, I just have a potential litigation issue, plus an investigative proceeding, possible investigative proceeding, and transfer station purchase. And you don't need to address any of those cases. Yes, it's a motion. Second. Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voting. Thank you all. Steve, hang in. Hope the weather doesn't get too nasty tonight.
No sinus?
In a few hours won't cure it, not really.
Steve, I'm gonna send you some interesting stuff from
Hey,
the state trial.
wait a minute.